Michael Lund. I was born on the autism spectrum, and this is about the reward deficit and autism. My main symptom was a reward deficit for the social needs of romantic love and friendship, which basically means I didn't have social needs for the aspects of love and friendship, which means care, connection, belonging, touch, etc. And I also could not feel loneliness in both of those social needs aspects. Before I even really jump into the video, I have to talk about the brain's reward system. It's responsible for the liking, the motivation, the wanting, and the cognition, which is thoughts about the reward in my experience. And the rewards are sex, food, water, and our social needs. The reward system drives attention towards those needs also. It is responsible for us seeking out these things. A big part of this is not just also getting the reward or the need met, it's also the anticipation of it. And basically, my brain wasn't producing enough of the neurotransmitter, or what I assume is dopamine, that is responsible for us, like the wanting of my social needs. So I had a reward deficit or shortage. Alright, now I can get into the reward deficit itself. It's very similar to something called RDS, or reward deficiency syndrome, a form of sensory deprivation of the brain's reward or pleasure mechanisms. But mine was just towards, in the autistic aspect, so it was more towards social things. And my sensory things that I got pleasure from is was stemming, like blankets or listening to the same thing over and over. Instead of reward deficiency syndrome, they say drugs and stuff like that is how they get their pleasure. Mine was stemming, and I didn't even know this theory until I googled an article about reward and autism, and there was a one of the writers. He referred me to his colleague, and his name is, I can't pronounce that. It's like an Indian name, but Kastub Supercar. I butchered that very hard. But I met with him for an hour, and I showed him a previous video I made, and what he came to the conclusion of, it seems like to him I had a reward deficit that strongly impacted my social and emotional learning. So there's a little bit of research about it. So like at the bottom I have how they talk about those with ASD or autism spectrum disorder. They may have aberrant reward circuitry dysfunction. But that's basically what my main symptom was. It was a reward deficit. And in the next slide, I'm going to get into what that was like. Alright, now this is what it was like having that reward deficit. This is what it was like not having social needs and an ability to feel loneliness in the aspects of romantic love and friendship. And I'm not going to go over each and every point because I'm trying to keep this video shorter. But basically, yeah, I couldn't think or visualize or feel the need for friends or romantic love. I couldn't visualize human interaction. I didn't know what being alone meant. Interaction had no value. I had no social needs, no need to talk, to touch, to feel cared for. I couldn't feel loneliness of those two social needs. I couldn't learn how to get friends. I couldn't learn how to get a girlfriend. I couldn't learn how to get human interaction. I was unaware of the social needs because I could not pay attention to it. It was harder for me to pick up on social rejection cues. I wasn't in tune with people's faces, which is a lot of pretty common autism. I couldn't tell how close I was to anybody outside my family. I couldn't miss anyone outside of my family. There's a whole lot of social learning that just did not exist, which those are the main ones. What it was like having a reward deficit. Alright, I'm gonna get into my other symptoms. I also had sensory issues. I had repetitive behaviors or routine, and I also had a social deficit. With the sensory issues, I had hearing, auditory, which I listen to the same music over and over a lot of times, monotone sounds. I can listen to it pretty much all day and never get tired of it. Same thing with tactile or touch, stemming out of this blanket I've had since I was 2, constantly rubbing it 24/7. Olfactory, I like smelling good smells or sniffing the blanket, and then tongue, I have this sucking motion like 2-year-olds with pacifiers. I do that too. And then routine, I tend to do the same things or say the same things or talk about the same things over and over, and people get rude to me sometimes, which I understand, but it's like a repetition thing. I tend to do the same thing over and over. I can't feel boredom. And also I had a social deficit, which came out very hard in 7th and 8th grade when the needs of socialization or the demands got really high, and couldn't adapt anymore. Like high school, I was a loner, basically. The autism researcher from Stanford said another thing that was greatly impacted was my social and emotional learning. When I came out of the deficit, I was 17 and a half years old. Right now, I'm currently 21 years old. A lot has happened to me mentally since then. Since 2019, I had the social development of a toddler. Alright, so basically what that means is I didn't know my social needs like it is showing up on screen. And I know everything that means. You can pause it and read it if you really want to. My social needs, connection, belonging, need to talk, romantic love, what all that stuff is, what loneliness is. You can't be alone for too long, things like that. Just very basic knowledge about these feelings. What a friend is, they care, they help you, don't go around sharing secrets. Levels of friendship, what a stranger is, what an acquaintance is. That's this year actually. Social needs, like it is showing up on screen. And I know everything that means. You can pause it and read it if you really want to. My social needs, connection, belonging, need to talk, romantic love, what all that stuff is, what loneliness is. You can't be alone for too long, things like that. Just very basic knowledge about these feelings. What a friend is, they care, they help you, don't go around sharing secrets. Levels of friendship, what a stranger is, what an acquaintance is. That's this year actually. Social needs, like it is showing up on screen. And I know everything that means. You can pause it and read it if you really want to. My social needs, connection, belonging, need to talk, romantic love, what all that stuff is, what loneliness is. You can't be alone for too long. So yeah, my exit out of the reward deficit was very, very harsh. It's coming into reality, not only about the social world, but just about life in general. And how I came out of it was finding a real social reward, which was for me, it was my first crush. So yeah, back in March 2019, I was a 17 and a half year old with the social development of a toddler who didn't know his own social needs, which is a recipe for a very big disaster. Like, it was just bad. Like, I don't have to go into it much more. It got very dark. But I got through that, and here I am now. I know all my social needs and a lot more how to direct them. I still don't direct them the best, but still, I know a lot more about them. Like at the bottom, that was me in September 2019 for the first time in my life. I'm looking at my other people, and I'm looking at them and I'm thinking I can think to talk to them because I have a need to talk now. And I'm thinking, hey, they could be your friend because that's technically what you can do. Anybody can technically be your friend. And for me, that was the first time I was experiencing that, and I realized I couldn't do this before. I couldn't think these things, so it was blowing my mind that I could do these things. So I was looking at someone thinking, hey, they could be your friend. Hey, they could be your girlfriend. Talk to them. And I was thinking, this is absolutely insane. That was September 2019. And at the top, it was like I was saying, I couldn't figure out all these new feelings. I didn't know what was going on. It took me until September 15, 2020 to figure out what this feeling of want was. I was calling it something else, and I finally figured out it's just called social desire. So I finally figured out these are two separate feelings. I was starting to associate, okay, loneliness makes me think to do this. My social needs make me think to do this, make me want to do this. Things like that. Been learning these feelings for a long time. Like in April of 2021 is when I learned I had a need to talk. And that's when I learned, oh, okay, where do I take this need to talk? I take my need to talk to my friends. So it was like a very basic social development was what I was going through as a 18, 19, 20, 21 year old. Still going through it. And right here's some more development. This is mainly about the needs themselves. So of course, here's social desire. There's three feelings of want: family, the friends, and then there's love, romantic love. And then there's the needs over there on the right, like connection, belonging, stuff I would never thought I needed, like feeling desired or wanted. That's still weird to me. Like feeling validated and needing to feel noticed. Like before, there was just not even a thought for those things, and all of a sudden, their needs, which is again very hard to deal with. And then yeah, even recently, things like I need to be interacting or needing to talk every day. I had to tell myself this is like eating or drinking. These are needs, and I need to do this a certain amount each day. And it's actually been helping a lot. And things like loneliness, I didn't know like you can't be alone for very long, otherwise you'll get lonely. Transient loneliness, short term versus long term loneliness, what loneliness does, bodily function that makes you pay attention to your social needs, things like that. Looking at other people getting their needs met when you don't have yours met makes you more lonely. So I was just learning about these needs and what they do. Some more figuring out these feelings because it's a lot of this is the main thing I've been doing the past 3 years. So another thing I cannot do is miss someone, which is showcased on the far left. There's social desire and loneliness. I kind of made them like characters because these were new things to me. But anyways, there I am. I'm like crying so hard over a girl, and I'm like, dang, So this is what it's like to miss someone. It felt like she was right there next to me. It was just such a strange experience for me that time in November 2020. All right, and then the middle one, this is summer 2019. This is when like the social need of love and romance was hitting very hard because I was going through my first crush. So it was just felt like nothing mattered but girls, and all I wanted to do was just talk to girls all day, and that's what it felt like when I was coming out of that deficit for the need of love. And this is me over the summer in the middle looking up on YouTube, just how to talk to girls, and Google's been my main friend the past 3 years because people have been telling me some things, but really a lot of things you can Google and you can get a lot better answers. So yeah, I looked up over the summer of 2019 how to talk to girls, bridges, don't be closed off, things like that. And then over the far right, that's summer 2019 too. I was at a Boy Scout thing for acquaintance at the time, and there was me. I was looking at them talking. I had no idea how to enter a group conversation, and now this is a new thing. I could use social learning, so I have these needs now. I need to talk. I need to get interaction. I need to belong, so I could figure out how to do it. And I was doing that on the far right. I was saying, pay attention. See how you enter a group combo. See how they enter a group combo. Pick up how you can enter a group combo and talk to one. And for me, back in 2019 and 2020, before I finally identified what these wants were, and I just gave it the name social desire, and now I call it social needs. To me, it felt like a whole nother person was telling me to do these things because these thoughts did not exist before. So all this stuff was so new to me. So that's kind of the explanation of that character, how I draw it as a man. It's really not. They feel like it's me now, or they feel like it's me. These needs feel like it's coming from me now. It doesn't feel like a voice in my head is telling me because I'm kind of used to being able to think these things now. And this is the final thing I wanted to talk about, and this is called visual salience. And salience is the condition in which something attracts or is noticeable. So it's like something in the environment that's noticeable. It's going to be called salient. And visual salience is that, but it also runs through our reward system. And in my experience, I know this very well, that once I came out of that reward deficit, that visual salience started hitting. And the first thing it hit for was the need of love. And girls, it's going to sound creepy because I'm now more socially aware, but everything about them, everything, their hair, the way they walk, talk, just everything about a girl stood out more. It was more salient. And then 2 years later, for some reason, once I learned that care works through relationships and that it starts at families and mom and dad is the main people who are supposed to care, and basic social development like that, the world started looking different, and like I could see desolation because I had these needs to feel a certain way, and now I can feel sad to be by myself. So the world looks different. It changes in my eyes too. So it looks uncaring, but at the same time it snapped and made everything look so vibrant. And that was the friend's desire, the salience for other people. And now everybody looks different. Don't care their age, nobody, just humans in general. They all look different. They all stand out more now. And in the middle, it's talking about how they haven't come up with enough data or research to support what I'm basically saying. And they're saying that neurophysiological evidence further suggests that this reward-driven attention effect modulates visual processes by enhancing low-level visual salience. So basically, it's saying that when we see something rewarding, visual salience happens, and it makes things stand out more. So I know it's a thing personally with my experience, but this is one of the things I'm going to talk about on the final slide and why I made this video. Alright, this is going to be the final slide, and this what I'm going to talk about, this is my point of making this video, is I was hoping to go into autism research possibly to maybe take those where I was on the spectrum and give them more. Like, basically I kind of broke out of autism, like a lot of the main symptom I had, which was the deficit. So I'm wondering if those who also had another reward deficit, I could break them out of it, make them experience the things I experienced, because I know it's an absolutely insane experience. Like the previous slide with visual salience, I know what that's like firsthand, not for my whole childhood. Nothing interesting about humans. I like a girl, found a social reward, boom, whoo, everything looks different. It's like I had in the previous slide how everything was more like darker, I guess. Now it's like that because I can see desolation, being alone. I can see loneliness now. Those things. So I just wanted to research into visual salience, and I wanted to research if there's a way to help those who are closer to where I was on the spectrum. Because I feel like how I broke out of it was finding a real social reward in my brain, I guess through the neuroplasticity or whatever. Started making new connections because I had a crush on that girl for like half a year. So it was experiencing a social reward or want for a very long time. So I'm guessing that's kind of how I got out of it, and I wanted to see if there was a way that I could maybe make research and to help others with autism.